skaters, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we are going to be working on having beautiful arms out on the ice. This is something a few of you have requested, so I'm going to give you a few different tips today. To start with, I want you to think about having your arms extend all the way from your spine. So one of the things I see a lot of skaters doing is their arm is really only coming from their shoulder. And so you have a movement that's not grounded in your body. So I want you to think about your arm your arm all the way back to your spine. So as if your back is part of your arm. So while you're using it, that movement is grounded in your torso. So I'm going to give you some examples of that. So when I'm skating, if my arm is moving from my shoulder, it can flop around a lot more easily. Okay, but if I'm skating and it's grounded in my body and it's that you're thinking of it going all the way to your spine, you're going to then be engaging your shoulder blade and your arm isn't going to move as much. Okay, where if it's just from the shoulder, it can move from here like a hinge. Okay, so we don't want that hinge motion. We want to extend all the way through to our spine and engage the muscles in our shoulder blade to help ground our arm into our body. Any movement you do, you need it to move all the way through to your spine, okay? Think of yourself like a butterfly with those wings coming all the way together, okay? So your wings come all the way back to your spine. So other ways that we're going to use that motion through to our spine. So we have the idea of holding it strong and that motion going through to our spine so our arm doesn't wiggle around. But we also, any movement we do, we want to come through our entire arm all the way back through our shoulder blade. So make that shoulder blade work as part of your arm. So if I was to take my arm and move it over my head, I'm not just taking my arm and moving it over my head, I'm taking my entire back, okay? So what I want you to do is think about like a ballet class. Your hand's gonna come up over your head and you're gonna extend that motion all the way through your back. So your back is engaged in the motion of your arm, okay? So you're gonna go through and use that shoulder blade as well. So it's not just from the shoulder, okay? It's through the shoulder blade. So your entire back becomes involved in the motion of your arm. If I was gonna look through like I'm doing a spiral, you don't wanna just move it from the shoulder, okay? Don't just use that hinge. You wanna use all the way through to your shoulder blade so that motion is connected to your back, okay? You can see here, if I just lift my arm, that's pretty, that's nice. But if I use my entire shoulder blade and connect that motion to my back, it's a lot prettier. It's a more powerful motion if you can include your back in the movement. Just like we're gonna move through our spine, we also wanna move all the way through our fingertips, okay? So we wanna have our whole hand involved. I see skaters all the time with long, strong arms and then their hands look dead on the end. They curl their hands up, they're just kind of hanging down there like they forgot they had fingers, okay? So you wanna extend that motion all the way through your wrist to your fingertips. Okay, so what I want you to do is move your hand like a little wave, okay? So you're gonna put the palm in and press through to the fingers. You can see your whole hand is moving, okay? That whole hand moves like a little wave, okay? And so we wanna get used to using that wrist and making that motion go all the way through our middle finger especially, okay? So your back should end on your middle finger. So when you have your hand out, you want that spine to extend all the way through and that arm all the way through to your middle finger. Okay, so you're gonna push through. So any motion you do, you're gonna push through that wrist and then through that middle finger. If your hand's coming up over your head, you're gonna go all the way through. You can see that middle finger is the last thing that's coming up. Okay, your back all the way through your elbow, through your wrist, through to your middle finger. That will make your arms look as long as possible. So use your spine, your shoulder blades, your elbows, your wrist, all the way through to that middle finger, and you will have beautiful long arms. My next tip for having nice hands, you're actually gonna do at home in front of your mirror. I want you to go home and watch yourself, because being aware of what you're doing is really helpful. We don't all have great proprioception where we know what we're doing with our body without having to see it. So if you can watch yourself moving your arms, it's going to help you when you come out onto the ice. So I want you to stand in front of the mirror and practice pushing your palm forward and then rolling through your middle finger. So you're going to push and roll. Push and roll. Think of it like a swan. You're going elbow, palm, middle finger. Elbow, palm, middle finger. Practice that with both hands. Okay, that's really nice when you're skating forward and you want to push out into something. It creates a really beautiful motion, so you can practice that. We're also going to stand in front of that mirror and going to practice bringing our wrist, our elbow and our wrist up and then rolling open. Okay, so we're going to go elbow, wrist, hand. Elbow, wrist, hand. You're going to practice that in front of the mirror so you can see what your arms are doing and really memorize that muscle motion so when you're out on the ice, it's easier, okay? And we can do the same kind of thing. We can reach forward with those palms, elbows, palms, elbows, palms, elbows. So go stand in front of your mirror and practice some arm motions. So when you get out on the ice, those motions are more natural for your muscles. All right, skaters, I hope you enjoyed those tips for having beautiful arms out on the ice. If you did, please do give us that thumbs up. And while you're practicing, make sure you post your videos up on Instagram as well and tag me at Skating Coach Julia so I can follow along your progress. Happy skating, and I'll see you next time.